I'm giving away a Fujifilm XPro 1. So just comment and like on this video. Make sure to subscribe. That's the main thing, subscribe. Once I hit 50,000 subs, I will give away the XPro 1. All right guys, in this video, I'm just gonna show you what it's like using Mamiya 645 glass on the Fujifilm GFX 50S2. We're gonna start off with just this photo shoot. I used the exact setup on here and I'm in love with the images, the process of it. Though manual focusing is difficult, it makes it a little bit more fun for me personally. After the photo shoot portion, I'm just gonna jump in. We're gonna go over the photos. I'm gonna show you the characteristics and details. And after that, I'm gonna show you what it's like using the manual focus, some of the quirks to it, the up and downsides to it on using the GFX system and manual focus lenses.
Somewhere along the line, true love is hard to find. You'll need someone who understands.
So cool. Really cool. This is film? Oh, this is normal. I was like, oh wow. I thought you said it was a film lens. I'm like, that was too fast for that.
Someone to cheer you when you're blue. Someone to love you like I do.
Alright guys, so from the video from our road trip, you saw I got the GFX. For now, I just have the kit lens, and this thing's pretty great for the road trip stuff, or if I'm just traveling, like it's dope for that. I haven't used it for fashion stuff yet, just because it's, you know, I'm not inspired by this lens at all. I've owned the 45, 2.8, 110 f2, and the 250 millimeter. That thing's a freaking beast. And those lenses are amazing. They're insanely sharp. Quality on them are insane. But anyways, you guys know I buy gear like crazy, so I'm trying to drop another 10K fucking just lenses. So I have a Mamiya 645, I have the 645 Pro TL, and I have a bunch of Mamiya lenses. I'm curious on how the Mamiya lenses would work. So I did a photo shoot. You guys will see some of that footage over this video, and I am blown away by the look of it. So I just want to cover some of the upsides, some of the downsides, and just my experience behind using them. A cutie girl. The cutie girl, so good. Yeah, I'm gonna show you what Mamiya lenses I have, just so you know what lenses we're covering here. To start off with, this is the most difficult lens. It's the 35 millimeter 3.5. From there, we'll go to my favorite one. This is the 80 millimeter. So I think this one's one of the newer ones. It is more plasticky than, like, all the older Mamiya lenses are metal. And then you can see this one's plastic. So it doesn't feel as high quality, but the optics are still insane. This is definitely the sharpest lens out of the kit that you'll see. And I do favor this focal length on here. Feels kind of wide, but it's still tight enough for portrait. My second favorite is the 150. This thing's fairly easy to focus as well. It is a 3.5 though, so 3.5 on the GFX. I think it's close to like maybe a f2 or 2.8, something, I don't know. I'm just doing it off the top of my head. And then the final guy is the 210 millimeter. This thing's insanely fun to shoot with. It is a little bit softer, so when it comes to the focus peaking, it gets a little bit more difficult to use. Also guys, the adapter I'm using is the Kipon M64 to GFX adapter. It's a dummy adapter. There's literally nothing special about this. It just lets you put the lenses on there. Starting off, this is the 210 millimeter. Now you heard me say it's a little bit softer. I meant when it's wide open, it's softer. So you can see there is a lot of chromatic aberrations. For personal shoots, I don't care about that at all. I'm totally okay with that. I like the look. You can see her hair has like this blooming soft look where the highlights are just peeking here. But you can see zoomed out, you don't see the chromatic aberration a lot. I was gonna say this is the 150 millimeter, but I can still tell that this is the 210 because you could kind of see that softness in her eye. Now I do believe this is the 150 millimeter now. So you can see it really sharpens up. And if we turn sharpening off here, you can see we still have a lot of good like quality here. Also, I already know some of you guys are gonna ask if this is my presets. This is not. I'm using classic negative with a bunch of other settings. Like this is classic negative with no other adjustments to it. I'll slap on that same edit though, and that's the look I'm getting. If you guys are interested, let me know, and I'll make a whole preset pack based off classic negative. And also maybe I'll do a nostalgic neg because I really love that film simulation. Yeah, you can see once we put that edit on there, it almost makes it look like it's sharper. And that's just because I'm pumping in more contrast into there. And then once you start doing portraits about 150, look at this. Like this is pretty shockingly good for it being quote unquote vintage glass. Every eyelash or eyebrows like. Now here, this is the 35mm. This was insanely hard to get focus on. I would have her step in so I could get my focus point. But you know, once she goes into jump, she's not gonna be like perfectly back in her position. It's hard to see, like this looks pretty sharp, but then her eyes look a little bit soft. And that's also because maybe just we're on the edge of the frame. And we are shooting wide open here, so you can see she's very glowy. Like this is proper vintage looking glass here. But you see when you do nail focus, I'm not complaining. Like this looks pretty good. But again, just like the 210, you can see the eyelashes have like that crystallized look to where Capture One's sharpening it, but there's not enough detail there. So it's like creating detail. And now this is the part that I really wanted to share with you guys. So this is the 210mm, but this is with it closed down. I think I put it to 5.6 or f8. So again, this is where it gets difficult when your model's moving and you're trying to bust out a bunch of shots and your focus peaking disappears. Again, I'll get into that right after we're done going over these shots. So these ones right here are all with the 80mm. Again, like this straight up looks like GFX modern date glass that just came out a year ago. Like this thing is great. It's even better though, as you can see where her hair is peaking. Yes, there's some chromatic aberration and everything, but there's this slight softness. Like it's just, I don't know what it is. This lens is way easier to focus because it's so sharp. So your focus peaking is going to be a lot more accurate. So you can see I was able to get her eye in focus and her mouth goes out of focus there. So yeah, just another one right here. You could just see, again, this looks like modern glass almost, but you still have this very soft, glowy, just like very subtle look coming off from her hair. Also guys, I want to give a quick shout out to Asun. They sent this out to me. In order to record the back of your monitor, you always had to use like an Atomos or something like that. Just to get a setup for that, you're speaking like $500 to $700. This is the most affordable way to record your screen. Whether you're just trying to get a second backup recording or you're trying to stream or anything like that, this whole setup plus their app will do all that for you. And I think this thing costs under $200 for sure. So literally the cheapest way to do it, most simplest way to do it. I don't have to put a whole freaking monitor on here, just whip up my phone, plug it all up. Obviously put a smaller battery on it and all that, but yeah, back to the video. All right guys, I just want to show you what the manual focus looks like on this. Hopefully you can hear me over the stream over here. See, right now I have the 150mm, but I have the focus peaking on. Focus peaking, if you put it on red low, you get a little bit more accurate focus peaking, obviously, because it's not going to oversaturate it. If you're struggling a little bit more, you can put on red high. I'll show you what that looks like. I kind of wish, I'm kind of blind guys, so I should probably be using red high. You can see the first issue with the focus peaking is it's lowering the resolution. Once I click the shutter button halfway, it clears up and you can see the resolution goes way up. If you look at the bokeh behind Jericho, you can see the resolution when I half click enhances. So this is the first issue. So I'm gonna just put it down to red low. And you see the resolution looks a little bit better, but once I click on it again, you can see it gets a little bit better. This is wide open now. Let me close down my shutter a little bit. See, it is very possible, but the issue is once you start shooting, I like to have my models move a lot. If the more they're moving, the more you wanna, you know, get frames off. When you start shooting, let me show you this. Your screen blacks out for a good second there. And again, when you're trying to move your focus and you're taking photos, you're not seeing any of that focus peaking. You're seeing quick glances at where it's going. So if you're someone that has never manual focused or shot film cameras before, you might find this a little bit challenging and you might not like be too romantic of the idea of using these lenses on here. If I go into dry mode, put on continuous, you'll see I'm gonna hold it down. I literally cannot, you can't see the focus peaking at all. So you literally have to guess where the focus is going. If you're someone that shot a lot of film before and you do a lot of video work with manual cine lenses, you're going to be able to kind of nail focus. But when you're shooting wide open and you're shooting photos, obviously you're looking at a still, you want that thing to be tack sharp. This isn't the setup to get shots like that. Obviously manual focus is going to be really challenging on this, but this is my one gripe with this camera. Fuji used their old 50 megapixel sensor in this, which I freaking love this sensor. The dynamic range on this thing is insane. Low liability, high ISO ability, all of that is insane on this, but they didn't give us phase detection autofocus. So whatever lenses you're using on this are very difficult still. You can't really track your subject in the continuous drive mode because you're still going to run into a similar issue. It's a totally different issue, but still same thing where the focus, contrast-based autofocus, isn't going to be able to keep up with that. Now, single point works great on this. It works a lot better than the 50R and original 50S cameras. So there's give or takes whether you're using the native GFX lenses on it or if you're adapting. There's upsides and downsides. So you guys saw what these lenses look like. Again, the whole appeal of this to me is basically one, price. In order to get a GFX Fujifilm lens, they're pretty expensive. So if you're someone that's just kind of more romantic with the idea of medium format and getting a filmic look through digital, adapting film medium format lenses is, I think, the way to go, especially for someone that's going to pick up a 50R or original 50S. These lenses are going to go great with those cameras. Again, the same exact sensor that's in the 50S too. So overall, the native lenses for this, again, they're beautiful. They have pretty good character in my opinion too, but they're more clinical, which is great for professional work. Shooting a manual analog, more experience, kind of makes you shoot a little bit different. Like when I was doing that photo shoot, I was having a shit ton of fun just like trying to, you know, do manual focus as I'm like going blind and shit. So for some reason, making your brain and your hands and your eye engage in the camera like that really puts you into a photographer's mindset, which, you know, just it makes us romantic while we're shooting. And the more romantic we get, the more creative we can get. So if you're looking at the Fujifilm GFX system, we all know they're freaking, literally, in my opinion, they're like the best stills camera. Like the quality I get out of it reminds me of film. I like just putting in classic neg, putting a simple edit over it, and it reminds me of like how I edit my portrait shots, my Kodak portrait shots. So to me, this system, I missed my 50R and my 50S. I missed it so much, and I look back at those photos, and they're some of my favorite photos to this day. And I can even tell the people I shot with those photos, it's like some of their favorite photos too. And I don't think they probably just think it's me, but maybe it's part of it to me, but I think a big part of it is the way I shoot that camera and also how I end up editing those photos. For someone that's looking into the GFX system, maybe adapt some lenses, and they're way cheaper for now. Peace.